ladies and gentlemen, members of the Parish Council. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Parish Council meeting of Thornton Le Dale Parish Council on Tuesday, the 4th of February 2025. A very warm welcome on this very cold evening. Start off as I always do, just a gentle, polite reminder to switch mobile phones and devices to silent so that we're not interrupted, please. The format of this evening's Parish Council meeting will just be the public session and then into the formal Parish Council meeting. We don't have any closed sessions on the agenda for tonight. 15 minutes. Don't know if there's any questions. I know that we haven't had any emailed in, have we?
No.
But if you have any questions, then happy to take them from you. Reminder of our obligations with regards to code of conduct. Everybody to conduct themselves in a respectful manner, please. I can see we're being video recorded as per normal. Video and audio recorded in line with the openness of local government and transparency. And we'll move straight into public session. Are there any questions from the floor? Having asked the questions, we'll move now swiftly into the formalities of the Parish Council meeting. Declare the meeting open, just on the dot really, maybe a minute after, and we'll move to the agenda. Agenda item 195 is to receive apologies for absence, and those keenly eyed amongst you will notice that Councillor Marguerite Markham and Councillor Claire Balderson are absent. They're both absent for personal reasons, of which I'm familiar with. They are both very acceptable reasons not to be here. So apologies from two members there. 196 is to receive declarations of interests from any members here present or with regards to this evening's agenda. Are there any declarations to be made? No, thank you. 197 is to confirm and sign minutes of our previous Parish Council meeting held on the 7th of January, previously circulated by the clerk. Any comments at all? If we're all happy, I'm happy to sign those off. There's just that normal pregnant pause whilst doing so. Try and do it as quickly as I can, but there we are. Thank you. Okay, minutes signed and confirmed. 198 is to consider a note ongoing matters arising from previous business. The first at A is to receive and consider an update with regards to the clock repair and service at Hill Memorial Institute. David, we were waiting for cherry picker, I think.
Yes, I mean that will happen until they come down and service the clock. There's no point in them bringing them down from the Lake District just for involving a clock. So when we have it next service, we can arrange for a cherry picker. And
do we know when that's likely to be?
Whenever it regularly gets serviced. So to answer your question, no.
You're after last lot.
Yeah. Do we need to keep it on the agenda? That's my point.
I wouldn't have thought so.
I wouldn't.
I think so.
It's a matter in hand, isn't it?
And the days are getting lighter, so about 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Probably the money that misses it.
So
Can I just ask a question? Is that do the Parish Council pay for that? I can't remember. I know it was discussed 3 weeks ago.
So the Parish Council pay for service and repair to the clock here at the Hill Memorial Institute.
Yeah.
The parish clock also. Parish Council pay for service and repair to the parish clock at All Saints Church, other than the recent, I think you're going to refer to the fundraising group.
Yeah, that's the first question.
Yeah, so the fundraising group raised the money for the repair of the parish clock at All Saints Church.
Yeah.
But the Parish Council still paid for the servicing of the clock.
Right.
The VAT has been reclaimed as a point of note recently, has it not?
It's just come in the last few days. Yeah.
It's just come in the last few days. So whilst the parish council claimed for the VAT back, that will be going back to the fundraising group.
That's good. And I've spoken to Claire, and we're going to have a meeting before the next parish council meeting to determine where the money's spent.
Cool.
So it can be clear this financial year.
So I think this can come off the agenda. Yeah, cool. B, to receive and consider update re the boundary wall at All Saints Church, leading nicely into All Saints Church. Not much of an update from previous update, other than to say that I've been in correspondence with the church building advisor for the Diocese of York, a gentleman called Keith Halliday. Essentially updated him with regards to the facts and findings that I reported last time. The next advice and course of action from Mr Halliday is that the parish council makes contact with the PCC at All Saints and just has some discussions around views and opinions of the church architect, and then we'll probably hopefully progress it. So work in progress, but no real update for you this evening. Once I've heard back from the church architect, hopefully you'll be in a position to formulate a way forward. Any questions on the church wall? No? I think that'll just stay on. Thank you. C, to receive and consider updates from the parish plan group. That's me again. So the community survey has now closed. In fact, it closed on the 17th of January, but the responses have been really quite positive, and the parish plan group are very pleased with the number of replies that we had, both online and paper copies. So much so that it kind of exceeded expectations, and it's given the group now a lot of work to do to consolidate, review and analyse all that information that has come from residents in the parish. We had our first meeting on Monday. That was last night, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Oh, where's the time go? So we had our first meeting last night where the chair of that group, Mark Calvert, just outlined the process and the way forward for that evaluation process to move forward. 7 areas have been identified, those being the demographics data that was collected, and that's going to be compared against the census just so that we can validate the survey, if you will. And then the areas of topics that are going to be analysed a bit more in depth are housing and future development, community involvement, village environment, parish amenities, traffic and transport, and leisure and recreation. So it's just really a process now over the next coming weeks to identify common threads, to kind of draft a plan and try and work towards the parish plan with its action plan to be launched hopefully in May of this year. The next thing on the timetable is the 20th of March, where the group hope to publish some results of the survey, so that residents can get a feel for some of the feedback and comments that were made. So, great piece of work moving forward quite nicely, and as I say, hopefully come May of this year, we'll be in a position to report further with a parish plan. So that's the update on that. I think that can stay on as well. Jenny, thanks. D, to receive and consider plan for the village upkeep and maintenance with the caretaker. Update Thornton Le Dale Beckile beds and shrubs. We discussed that last meeting, didn't we? Main village upkeep. I think Mark has been given a list, hasn't he, of things that need doing and such like. And he's going to get on with it when hours allow. I don't think there's anything. June?
Can I ask a question about that item? So on the main village upkeep, will there be some notification to residents about what that is? You know, what's going to be done and when? So for example, Malton Gate is still a bit of a concern for a number of people.
Malton Gate's on his list.
But will people know that it's been, other than visibly?
the people that come here this evening or watch our
Yeah.
YouTube videos will know, but we don't actively publish it at all. We just, this item on the agenda is for members just to sort of discuss and allocate work to the caretaker, and it's part of his, is the management of that contract.
I have got, I'll give it to Jen at the end. A member of the public gave me a copy of the old caretaker contract, job description, Jenny. I don't need it, but I thought you might find it useful, or you might not, but
Yeah,
it was
sure.
one that was in place a few parish councils ago, so I reckon that.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe useful, may not be, but.
Yeah, okay. I know it's not done too much in January, but it's just maybe
Bit
due to the weather,
Yeah.
and it's just so dark all the time, you know, so he has got a plan for the next couple of weeks.
Brilliant.
Hopefully if it's a bit drier as the
We'll see you
weather,
around.
it's, you know, hedges and, yeah, Malton Gate to do.
Thank you.
Cemetery, water butt. So we have advertised for the kind donation of the water butt individual to make contact with us. I haven't heard anything unless anybody else has. No, so that was really just to seek their permission to permanently install said water butt, if indeed that was their intention to do so, rather than assume otherwise. I think given the weather, it froze up, didn't it?
Oh,
So
it froze up, yeah.
it froze up. It's not been used, so we'll leave that for now, just see if anybody comes forward before we do anything with it.
I'm going to put a deadline on it, Phil, because it's, I mean, one of the things that might be useful is the fact that if people use the water, but when there's water in it, not frozen, rather than the tap, it will be a bit of a saving. A bit of a saving.
The only way to get water in it at the moment is for it to
take
rain,
water, yeah.
yeah, or to take water up to it, or turn the tap on with a hose and fill it, so.
Or put it in a place where there is a bit of guttering, which is the shed, or whatever that thing is on the top.
So this was discussed previously at parish council meeting. We are toying with the idea of installing it, but before we do that, we
You need to
just
give it
we
a bit more
need
time.
express permission, because you can bet your bottom dollar as soon as we screwed it to a wall or whatever, the person will say, well, I want that back, thank you very much.
So what if you don't get express permission?
Well, we'll discuss that when it comes, can't we?
I think the problem if it's put across by the shed, people are not going to see it, probably won't want to walk across there to use it later.
I think the
No
best
else.
place for it, yes there is, put a bit of guttering on the entrance and put it by
Put it there.
put it by
Yeah,
the
the
tap,
entrance. Yeah.
whereas
Well,
people will use it.
We'll keep this on and we'll discuss it in March, can't we?
Yeah,
Okay.
whenever it gets better.
All right. But at the moment, we're just seeking that express permission to do something with it. We haven't heard anything yet. We'll see what happens next meeting. Water supply. Just to elaborate from last time, the water went off, came on, went off. I think you just recently turned it off
It's off
today
now.
because of the cold weather that's on the way.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully come spring we can leave it on, can't we?
And we ought to just say that during the time that it was off, it broke, burst.
Yeah, we can come on to that later, can't we? But yeah, you're quite right. So we turn the water off to prevent frost damage and pipes being burst, but when the water was off, we don't know. We think somebody might have turned the water back on again. We don't know, but we do know that the tap burst and split, and that's been repaired. Really, it's private property, and it should really just be the council that turn the water on and off. The liability sits with the council. We do everything we can to prevent any frost damage. Damage has been caused. A very minor repair bill has come in, and somebody's had it repaired on behalf of the parish council. But again, you know, we can't exercise any control over it. We just appeal to users of the cemetery and the allotments that if the council have turned the water off, it's for very valid reasons, and you've got no approved permission to go and turn it back on of your own volition. Okay. And we've got hedge maintenance on here as well. Is that cemetery?
Yeah, there was a request from the residents that live next to the
Yeah, they've got
cemetery.
that next door.
So they've done their side, and
Yeah.
they've just asked for us to sort this side, so It's on Mark's list.
It's on Mark's list. Okay, lovely, thank you. So, yeah, we'll leave that on then until it's done, shall we? Given that it's a request from a member of the public, just really to ensure that it's done. Number 3, salt bins. That's me, salt bins. So, been in contact, or we've had contact from North Yorkshire Council Highways, who had received information from a member of the public reporting that the grit bin on Archways Lane was empty. North Yorkshire Council very diligently wrote to us and said, that's Parish Council's grit bin, you need to fill it, and if you'd like us to do it, we will do it for the princely sum of £80. So, on a Sunday morning, I had a little walk around and I checked all the grit bins, and I found that mistakenly a grit bin had been filled which shouldn't have been filled. So I've reallocated resources to Archways Lane, and it's now been replenished at no cost to the Parish Council. We don't know when I forget how many there are, 4 or 5 bins that have been highlighted as being going to be removed. It's 1, 2, 4. Yeah, no, there are 5, beg your pardon, there's 2 in South Lane. 5 grit bins are going to be removed by North Yorkshire Council. Doesn't impact on service delivery because they're fairly close to other existing grit bins. So they're here still, and we'll just wait to see what they decide to do. I don't propose to say anything else about grit bins unless anyone else is.
Well done for doing that.
Well, a little walk around the village keeps you fit. Right, 198E. To receive and agree and update actions to the risk assessment document. Now, this is the generic risk assessment document that's been reviewed and revamped, previously circulated to all members, and I hope you took the time to read it. If there's no comments about it, it's just really a matter for adopting in the format as previously circulated. So that's the motion that I propose. Just a seconder for
I'll
the
second it.
June, in favour of adopting the risk assessment generic document.
Yeah.
That's everybody. Thank you.
Good document.
Thank you. And then F is to receive and consider an update from the Forest and Dale Community Flood Group Prevention Group. David.
That's me.
That's
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Just a brief background to that for those who don't know. We were granted £20,000 from North Yorkshire Council to look into flood prevention in several of the parishes, Lockton, Everston, Thornton Le Dale, Snainton, another one as well. Anyway, Brompton. Yeah. And the idea was to get various councils together and have a look at ways of preventing some of the bad flood damage we've seen in recent years, particularly in the villages of Everston and Snainton, which should be very, very bad. We had an expression of interest from Snainton and Everston initially. We've got to use this grant at this 20,000 by the end of March, otherwise it just gets handed back again. We've had several sites visits to both of those locations and discovered that a lot of the grip holes at the side of the road were becoming blocked, either because agricultural machinery was squashing them down or they haven't been dug out for years. The interesting one on Nettledale Lane is that the council went up right to the top and actually dug, maybe, there must have been, how many, Janet? There must have been 20, 30 grip holes.
24, I think it was.
Yeah, there's a lot of water comes down there and it's been very successful. Now this was done by Highways money, not the £20,000 grant. So we think we're onto a winner there. The bottom, or from the top of Nettledale down to the bottom, we're actually going to use some of that £20,000 grant to do some more grip holes, which is not Highways issue. So that'll go from there. Equally on Everston as well. Since then, we've had expression of interest from Lockton, where we're going to do a project up there, where just coming out of as you come into Lockton from the main Whitby Road, water was pouring down, wasn't it, and causing some serious flood problems. So we've got a scheme going in there. And then Janet and I went up yesterday, day before, to look at the top of Whitby Gate here in Thornton Le Dale, where there's obviously an issue with water pouring down there. There's several grip holes that some are in existence, some want doing completely, renewing completely. And we think that'll make a big difference to stop water from flowing down to the bottom near the book and blocking up all the grids. So there's various works going on. We've got another meeting Friday with John from Highways, John Dickens, who's been very, very good and very helpful in getting together road closure orders and everything else. So, yeah, it's been a good exercise, hasn't it, Janet? I don't know if you want to say anything further on it, but Janet's been heavily involved and worked.
No, I just think it's really amazing that the Nettledale thing came. The quotes that we got were way below what we thought they would be, and so we'd got a little bit of money left over, and so we said, can we look at Whitby Gate, which has a very similar problem in that the grips aren't dug out, highways aren't going to do them, but if we've got some funding that will, it'll stop the water washing down Whitby Gate and clogging all those drains at the bottom. And John, you'll know in the past that we've seen surface water flooding around the centre of the village there because it comes down Pickering Hill and Whitby Hill. If we can stop that, then we're winners.
But within all this, we've also put money aside for volunteers to maintain, particularly in Snate and Everston, where there seems to be an appetite for volunteers to go and maintain the grip holes. So when they get locked up again, they'll be buying spades, high-vis jackets and sandbags and a sandbag shed as well, so we can, particularly in those two areas, so that people can be designated as sandbag monitors. So yeah, I think we've just about used up the 20 grand, haven't we, at the moment?
We will if John comes up with the goods.
Yeah, which he will do. So yeah, useful exercise. Hopefully it'll it's very much a look and see at the moment, and if it's successful.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
The road up to the tip,
Yes.
the gullies up there, are those highways?
I would imagine they're highways.
Because I'm often up there early doors with the dog,
Yeah.
and many a time I've had to kick those out because it's just flowing over and it gets to the bottom, and then if it's frosty weather, you've got ice going right across the main road.
Yeah. Well, when John's with us on Friday, I'll take him up there and I'll look at those and just establish whether it's highways or not. I'd imagine.
I can tell you it's highways as far as the tip, and then it's
and then
not beyond.
Well, I don't think there'll be gullies up there anyway. Further on.
No, it's always been debatable because it was always the old quarry road, wasn't it? The private road, but.
The interesting thing is, because I go cycling up there a lot, and I was up there one day, and highways were mending the road up there past the tip, quite a long way up to the old quarry on the right hand side. So there must be some sort of maintenance agreement between highways and whoever owns a track. I don't know.
Highways on
Yeah.
it. It's not a private road.
Yeah.
It is beyond that second quarry. You know
Oh,
where
yeah,
where the two
second-
footpaths. You know where the two footpaths
Yeah.
divide. One goes to Wilton and one goes to
Yeah.
Ellerburn. I think it's as far as there.
Yes, because
We've
that's
had
where
this.
they were
It's very
putting the tarmac
debatable,
to.
and
Yeah.
but it's a country lane, isn't it? You know.
Sure.
Once upon a time, Dave, if I remember rightly, at the bottom of Limekiln Lane, opposite Limekiln Cottage, there was a silt trap put in to prevent silt from when the quarry was in action. And if I remember rightly, that used to take a lot of the surface water, and you prevent the situation that Michael mentioned.
But it might be that wants cleaning
Yeah,
out, because
could
we've got
be
the
there.
same, we've got the same problem at Everston, haven't we, where the silt trap's been set up, and unfortunately the silt trap wasn't big enough, and it needs doing on a regular basis. So
I would imagine it's
it'd be
pretty
worth-
full by now.
And David, just to interrupt there, it's one of the things that we'd said we would do is map all these assets that highways don't know about, but locals do. So that is a prime example of this, where infrastructure is being set up but nobody knows about it. It's not on any map. And actually, just by cleaning it out or doing something or just a bit of voluntary work, we can actually prevent that happening. So I go back to that idea of mapping of those unidentified assets or lost assets.
Yeah, but I must thank Janet on behalf of the council for all the work she's put in. She's put in an awful lot of work.
And yourself.
Well, yeah, but you know, and because Janet has the contacts, whereas I don't. I'm gradually getting the contacts, but yeah, it's quite nice to be pointed in the right direction. So thank you.
Right, thank you, Dave, for the update. Do you want to take the silt trap at Kiln Cottage as an action point and
Yeah.
check it,
Yeah,
see what the situation is, and then
May have been, it's donkey's years.
donkey's years? Yeah.
It's,
Well, it might be worth having a look, mightn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, lovely, thank you. 198G, to receive and consider a new parish council biodiversity policy. Previously circulated, just brings the parish council in line with current modern day legislation. We should have one, and one has been written in draft format, previously circulated. Hope you've all had the opportunity to have a read, because I'm going to propose the motion we as a council adopt said document. Seconder for that one? Thank you, David. All in favour?
Yep.
Splendid, thank you. Okay. 198H, to receive and consider an update from the cemetery working group. Are you happy to give a little overview, Rebecca?
Yeah, we've just done a little working group this evening before the meeting, and we have got quite a lot of work to do, quite a lot of catch up, quite a lot of sorting out with the old burial records, scribe, and the cemetery itself, and on the website. But we know where we're going, don't we, boys and girls? So yeah, no, I think it was quite successful this evening.
Absolutely, and probably a little bit overdue.
Yeah.
But yeah, a number of action points to follow on from.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'll keep on the agenda.
I think given the amount of action points, probably best to. I'm not quite sure that in terms of feedback to the parishioners, it might not be of any interest and some might be confidential, but I don't know, comments, should we keep it on? It's work in progress, isn't it?
Well, if it's a working group, it'd be good to get even just summary feedback, even just we're doing this and that.
Yeah, okay, well let's keep it on for summary feedback. That's a good point.
Just not detailed.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, we've just said that there are a number of action points and a lot of work that needs doing. It might be reassuring to people to know what we're doing and what we've achieved. Okay, thank you. 198I, to receive and consider an update from the AGAR 2023-2024 challenge. So, we submitted our AGAR return and it has been challenged by excuse me, a couple of residents in the parish. Just a reminder to members that the identity of any objectors and challengers has to remain confidential, quite clearly. The external auditor is a company called PKF Littlejohn. They've undertaken a review of the challenge that has been made and concluded that there were 21 objections raised to our accounting of the financial year 23-24. The process in the early stages to undergo an eligibility test, and that's to make sure that the objections raised fit legislation, financing rules and regulations. And PKF Littlejohn have concluded at the early stages that out of the 21 objections raised, 16 are not eligible, and that the remaining 5 are eligible for further investigation and consideration. Although they haven't yet been accepted, that's the process that is undertaken. So, having received that letter from PKF Little John, Jenny as our RFO has referred those 5 highlighted objections to our internal auditor, Rachel Pearson, for comment and consideration. And we'd also highlight at this time that all 5 have undergone previous and ongoing work by the parish council. And to give you a flavour, it's about the asset register and it's about risk assessments and values and things. So, on a difficult note, whilst I can say that those 5 are subject to ongoing work, there are also some things that happen whilst the parish council were in court and work couldn't have been undertaken even if there was a willing so to do. So one of the main objectives of this parish council is to reassure the original objectors that A, those 5 things that are being looked at are ongoing pieces of work, and we also really want to reassure them that these are things that can be hopefully quickly resolved by us with the work that we're doing. Why do we want to do that? Well, ideally, we want to try and lessen the financial impact on this parish council because PKF Little John as an external auditor are awfully expensive. In fact, they charge £355 per hour plus the VAT. So, there is an option for the objectors who submitted the original objections to realise that those 5 things that are being reviewed and looked at are matters in hand, and they can, if they so wish, withdraw their objections and just allow the parish council to progress. So that's the update really. Anything from anybody else with regards to the challenge to the AGAR? I think I've kind of summed it up. I actually made some little notes so that did I hit all the points?
Yeah, I mean the only other thing is that we've referred the 5 to the internal auditor for comment.
Yeah.
Just to see if there's maybe 1 or 2 that we can resolve without it needing further investigation and obviously costing the council money.
Sure.
So I have had a response, it came through late last night, so probably need to have a look at that and then I can circulate it.
Sure.
So I think out of the 5, I think 2 quite easy to resolve.
Sure.
So it may be that we've only got 3 outstanding, but
Okay.
we'll have a look at that and circulate.
So we're working in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. Thank you, Jenny. Right, moving on then. 199 is to consider new planning applications. Aha. So there are 4. We can rattle through these because 0002 is Gansted on Whitby Gate, Thornton Le Dale. That is for work on trees. The application is made in line of being a conservation area. Any comments at all?
No.
0013 is Lead Cottage, Moulton Gate, which is in a variation to the original planning application with regards to the details of the outbuilding and the garage. Any comments with regards to that one? No? 0046 is Woodside Cottage on Church Lane. That is for some work to windows and doors to the rear aspect.
It isn't on Church Lane.
It says on here Church
No,
Lane.
no, it's actually Church Hill.
Okay, beg your
I
pardon.
did have a look at it.
Woodside Cottage, Church Hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is, but
Oh, it's the main road.
okay.
On the
Just
right
below.
before you get to the church.
Okay.
Yeah, just before.
Ah, right, it's on the main road.
Yeah.
Ah, beg your pardon. Right, yeah. Okay,
It's
well,
Church Hill from the bridge
Yeah.
to the church.
is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. You learn something every day, don't you?
So is that the cottage that backs onto
South Lane.
South Lane.
Well, Dog Kennel Lane.
Dog Kennel Lane?
Yes.
I know what it's saying.
And if you were stood there, June, you would see windows and doors which they wish to renovate and put a roof on the conservatory.
What?
Any comments at all with regards to that? No? Right, thank you. And then there's a one from County Council from Midsummer Caravan and Camping on Low Marishes. Planning application for the installation of 6 glamping pods and retrospective planning permission for 10 caravan standings to enhance their leisure facilities,
Good for
which
tourism.
brings tourism into the area.
Good for tourism.
Good for tourism.
However, it is just after a very tight 90-degree bend, and the volume of caravans and cars pulling out of there, I would question whether it's safe. That volume of traffic movements.
Mm.
Without some form of like notification or sign.
I think fair enough, you're going to be going slow to take the bend,
No, nobody
but
knows.
yeah, I mean, people from highways will have a far better idea than I have. But it is not a speed limited road, and I just wonder whether it's safe, but highways would have a better idea than me.
Okay, John, yeah, good point. Valid comments, thank you very much.
There's not a flood risk there.
Well, it is very wet, isn't it, normally? And I think they've had a couple of trees blown down onto the main road as well, haven't they?
Didn't one go on get on fire?
Oh, so that was a tractor fire that set the trees on fire, wasn't it? Yeah. And that's on just around the corner. Yeah.
Would it be helpful, bearing in mind John's comments, would we feed back to say if there was a speed limit on that road, then from our point of view, that would be, is it something that you feel strongly that we should?
I don't think a speed limit would be practical.
People are
It
slowing
would
down.
require a traffic order if
People are slowing down for the bridge, aren't they?
But I just have safety concerns at that volume of traffic movement with cars and caravans.
The road is very narrow there, so it's not a wide road.
Mm.
If I could just say here that as far as planning is concerned, highways are a statutory consultee and they will either pass it or they'll fail it.
Yeah.
And if you say it's not safe and they say it is safe, you don't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
If they say it's not safe, end of story.
Fair comment. So
And
they
the consultation process is a little bit different in parts, and as you know, county. If anybody in the audience or viewing wants to make any comment about any planning application being dealt with by either national parks or county, you can go online, their websites, and you can submit your comments, and that will go on the application formally and be considered duly. So, yeah. Okay, 200. To receive and consider matters raised by the parish clerk, the RFO. A is to receive current bank balances. So we'll start with those. And I'll referring to the notes, and I'll work from the bottom up. So Bartley's premium reserve as of January stands at £72,915.05. Bartley's community account as of January sits at £10,911.03. And then Virgin Money currently stands at £4,566.73. Now, those of you that take a keen interest in the accounting of this parish council will probably ask yourself, well, where's all that money come from? Because the parish council have been running down the Virgin account. We've previously resolved to close the Virgin Money account for reasons previously discussed. And there's a process that we need to undertake in order to do that. However, as the clerk has already referred to, we had a VAT return to us, and that went into the Virgin Money account. So, where are we with the Virgin Money account, David? And I see that you've bought a letter.
Virgin Money account. I rang Virgin Money up and expressed our interest to close the account. She sent me a form basically to close the account. We need a signature from the two original signatures who set up the account. One was the ex-local clerk and one is one of our councillors, Margaret Markham. So we will need a signature from one of those two basically to close the account, because none of us are significant signatures as they call them. So to enable us to close the account, we shall probably need, well, we will need a signature from Marley.
Who's not here?
Not here tonight.
Who was the other signature that you said?
The ex-locum clerk.
Ah, right.
They were the two that originally were on the signatures when the account was set up as significant signatures. So basically, I think Jenny put a letter together, haven't we?
Got it here.
Yeah.
Got it here. Given that the Virgin Money account accrues a fee, I think it's a monthly fee, isn't it?
It's a monthly fee.
We're quite keen.
Standard management.
We're quite keen to get this process undertaken. Councillor Markham isn't here this evening, but I'm happy to sign as chair, and then presumably we will seek a signature from Councillor Markham, who has previously expressed an intention not to have anything to do with this Virgin Money account, so hopefully it won't become too much of a difficulty for us. But if I sign it anyway this evening as chair, and then Jenny presumably make arrangements to contact Councillor Markham and we'll see if we can get it to sign.
So is this letter to Councillor Markham or to the bank?
To the bank.
Is it to the bank? This one, yeah.
Any questions on the Virgin Money account?
How are you going to record delivery to Councillor Markham?
Well, I could scan it, and if Councillor Markham's got a print facility, she could print it, and she could sign it, and then scan and send back, or hand it back to Phil, and then we can get copies, and then send the original off to Virgin on it. That's the plan. Yeah.
We'll find a way.
Yeah.
We'll find a way. Okay, right, so that's bank balances and Virgin Money. B is to consider payments received and for approval. So, in terms of credits, we got those as listed. The debits were as per previous parish council meeting. The credits are generally memorial fees or burial fees, and we've got way leaves on here, haven't we? We've had a bit of a success with way leaves, all down to me. I'll take all the credit.
Okay, please, Phil, I don't know.
So, National Power Grid have what we would know as telegraph poles that carry overhead power cables. And they contacted the clerk and said, you own the ball fields where we've got one of our overhead power cable poles. We pay a way-leave premium to any landowners that have a pole. So here's your money, and by the way, we forgot to pay you for how many years?
The last 10.
Last
yeah.
10.
I contacted them.
So they've backdated it. So I said, well, how many other poles on my parish council land are there? And I had a little walk round and I found 3 others. So National Power Grid have indicated that they will accept the 3 poles that I found do, and they're down by Beckard Cottage.
Oh, yeah.
And they're quite clearly on the side of the footpath and the boundary wall, so they've accepted. And we're just waiting for them to confirm that they're going to pay us for those as well.
And are they going to be backdated?
Well, I would like to hope so.
We've asked.
We've asked. So, bringing in more money for the residents and parishioners of this lovely parish. So let's move on then to money that we need to approve. The first is to the YLCA for £35 and 10p, and that's for clerk training, and that is for a course on FOI. So the proposal is to allow the clerk, Jenny, to go on FOI training at the cost of £35 and 10p. Just need a seconder for that. June, thank you. All in favour? Everybody, thank you. The second is for the repairs to the cemetery tap that we've previously discussed. I don't think we need to cover that anymore, for £13.58. Just need a seconder for that. David, thank you. All in favour? Yeah, thank you. And the last is, a proposal for overtime. So, before you could make a decision on this one, I just need to go through justification for a proposal for overtime for the clerk. It's born out of the meeting that we had this evening from the cemetery working group. We've already alluded that there are a number of action points that need to be followed up. This will be work in the coming weeks up and above what is normally expected of the clerk. Clearly the clerk would undertake normally as part of your role cemetery work, but given the things that we've identified, and I can go through the action points if members want to hear what they are, but essentially we're going to propose an overtime payment of 4 hours in order for Jenny to undertake most of these action points. Happy to take any questions, but as you clearly know, due to her contract of employment, all overtime has to be considered and approved prior to any work being undertaken.
So is this related to the fact that we didn't have any records, that we've worked with?
So I can give you some of the action
it's
points.
Worth knowing what it's for.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll go through them then if you like. That's not a problem. We didn't have any burial records for a number of months. We've now got those, but just because we didn't have the records, it didn't mean that cemetery work was going on, and so we've got to reconcile the records. We've got to check that the records reflect what is on scribe, and then we've also got to check practically how things are at the cemetery. So there's that reconciliation sort of process. There is some errors that we found on scribe that need sorting out, administrative errors on scribe, and there are incomplete records on scribe, and there are also records that have been updated incorrectly. Scribe also has a mapping system which doesn't work. We've contacted Scribe to try and get assistance to get this mapping system to work, and they can't get it to work either, so we've got to sort out the maps. We've got a cross-reference Scribe with a document called Exclusive Rights of Burial. You can't bury anybody without an exclusive rights of burial. There are inaccurate EROBs on Scribe. We've got plots at the cemetery that we think people are in that are unmarked. We've got people with EROBs that we know have passed, but we also know that they're not in our cemetery. So it might be that they had an EROB, were going to come here, but eventually didn't. And the only way to fathom that out is to go through all the records. We've got to revise and review 5 sets of rules and compare them to risk assessment documents. You may recall that we had some risk assessments drawn up for both All Saints Church, churchyard and the cemetery. They've got to reflect the rules document, and there are 5 of those. And then, having done that, we've got to update the website. Look at the face. So Jim's then got to update the website. There are some documents on the website. The website's not very clear, so we need to sort that out. And then, of course, we need to do a site visit. So the proposal is to authorise 4 hours overtime for the clerk, Jenny, to undertake those things. Just need a seconder.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Rebecca. All in favour? Okay, thank you.
We also need to review the fees as well.
Yeah.
What, sorry?
Review the fees.
Review the fees. Do you want to do that now? Do we need that to propose, or?
We can do it, we put it on the agenda for next.
Yeah.
Put it on the agenda, so we're going to review the fees that haven't been updated for, I think, 4 years.
4 years, yeah.
So, we need to do that. We'll bring that back next week.
Yeah.
Okay, right, thank you. That's a lot of work, isn't it? Okay, so where are we? Future payments, we've done that. 200D, to receive an update on the interim audit for 24-25 accounts. Do you just want to give us a quick update, Jenny?
Yeah, sure. So all the information's with the auditor. She started the work
Yeah.
and she's hoping to come back next week with her findings and inquiries. And so that's where we're at with it.
Yeah.
Scribe have been helping with the getting the accounts signed off for the half year in terms of the reconciliation. So that's all been brought up to date.
Yeah.
And that's all been signed off by Scribe.
So that's worth mentioning. This parish council obviously invested in Scribe, which essentially is an admin system for parish councils. Jenny had, together with working with Scribe, found out how to reconcile Scribe accounts with real-time accounts, and the Scribe system will produce a document to say that it's all been reconciled. This parish council's not ever done it before, and the local clerk that introduced Scribe never thought to do it. But we're going to start that in the next financial year, and we'll publish it on the website. So you can see all the accounting on Scribe, and in real time bank accounts has been reconciled. So that's a real positive step forward, isn't it? But I think it's fair to say we're on track with the interim audit.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we've got the AGAR stuff that we've already spoken about.
Yeah.
So plenty going on. Thank you. Right, moving on. 201, to receive new correspondence received by the clerk. A is an ICO correspondence. So a resident of the parish entered a freedom of information request to the clerk. Jenny responded accordingly, provided the information sought, and I think there was a email exchange, wasn't there? Ultimately, the response from the parish council did not satisfy the complainant, so the complainant has made a formal complaint to the ICO's office, the Information Commissioner's office, who are considering what action steps to take next against the parish council. So we'll keep that on until we hear anything further. Thank you. B, Town and Parish Survey from NYC Traveller Sites. So, North Yorkshire Council are undertaking a consultation process in respect of land appropriate and available for the allocation to travellers throughout the county. They've extended an offer to members of the Parish Council, which has been circulated, hasn't it, for comment and such like. I can't recall if it was open to the public. I'll look towards our county councillor. Is it open to the public, do you know, Jenna? Or is it consultation?
All consultations are open to the public.
Right, yeah. Check the website.
There have been issues in the county, of course, as you'll know.
Yeah, locally as well, right? I look forward to reviewing that one then. If we haven't already done so, of course. So, NYC local plan call for action. Call for action on the local plan. Is that the land for future development, isn't it?
Yeah.
Another consultation process that's been circulated to members.
It goes out on the Nextdoor website as well. You know, I don't know if you know, but the excuse me, there's a Nextdoor website, and there's one for Thornton Le Dale. And if you've got the app, all these kind of consultations go on there asking you if you want to get involved. There'll be one in every version, but not everybody's on it.
So basically, we've got to put forward, the new government have said we've got, for the whole of North Yorkshire, we've got to put forward over 4,000 new homes a year, which we can't do. Over the next 5 years, we have to do a plan for the whole of North Yorkshire, and that will require people to put forward development plots. Now, people have put forward these development plots, 2 of which I've seen. It's public, you'll have seen it on the website.
There's a map, isn't there, Jack?
Yeah, there's a map with it. Now, those aren't accepted. Anyone can put forward. You could put forward the Bullfield and say we want development on here. It doesn't mean to say it's going to be accepted. It just goes into that melting pot, and then it has to go through the rigorous approval situation. So just because that plot appears on that website doesn't mean to say it's going to be put forward. It's put forward for consideration, not for building on.
The ones that I saw on the next door, because you get an email and it tells you what's on it, is the whole of North Yorkshire, and a number of the ones that are approved are up in the north, sort of middle.
There aren't any approved yet because
Oh,
the
they've
plan
got
has
the red
none
book
have been
around them.
none have been approved
Well, they must
yet.
be being looked at.
Been put
Yeah.
forward.
And it might be worth saying this is why the questions on the community survey around housing and
Yeah.
future development are on there, so that the views and opinions of residents will be reflected in the Thornton Le Dale Parish Plan.
Just for my own curiosity, do the plots have to be put forward by the landowners themselves, or could I randomly put forward a field that I thought would be suitable?
I don't know. I know if it's planning, you can apply for planning on anybody's land,
That's
as
all.
long as you tell the owner that they're doing that. As far as these plots are concerned, I don't know. It's not a question I've come across. Interesting.
Moving on swiftly.
I forgot this was going
No, you weren't.
Chair, please excuse my flippancy.
I think given the stress of the evening and the lateness of the hour, we'll take that in the way that it was. Right, 201D allotments update. Kind of fallen short on a little bit on the allotments, but not too much of a problem given the time of year. Not a lot of activity up there, is there?
No, I have a look tomorrow.
People
Yeah.
are starting to go and
Yeah.
up there now, so.
Yeah. But we'll keep that on.
Yeah.
We're still thinking about a mail shop and some discussions around how we develop the management of the allotments. 201E, way leaves, well we've already discussed that. F, all other correspondence. Starting with a training update. June, you went on some
I
training.
did.
Do you want to give us a bit of a
I
summary?
was hoping that Claire and I were going to go somewhere and do the training together, but it was via Zoom, so you do it in the comfort of your own
Okay,
home.
yeah.
So I did mine on Zoom. So it was on the 21st of January and the 28th, 2 hours each. And it was quite interesting actually. Some of it is like the curate's egg, some good, some okay. But it was quite interesting. Talked about the role of the councillor, the role of the council, the role of the clerk and how they interrelate, that was interesting. Responsibilities, governance, finance, code of conduct, etc. And they've sent a mass of documents to read, so I'm just kind of slowly working my way through them. But I must say, I did find the majority of it quite useful. The thing I found difficult when you're on Zoom and there's 35 people on and you try and ask a question, it's, you know, your question isn't always considered because of the 35 people jockeying for position, but the information they've sent looks quite thorough, so I shall assimilate that.
It's all about investing in people, isn't it?
It is.
We've had Rebecca went on some cemetery training. Jenny's about to do her FOI training. You've gone on councillor training. I need to go on the chairman's training. And, it's all about investing in people, isn't it? Okay. Thank you, June, for the update. We've had an offer from the Village Hub to contribute to this month's community newsletter. I think, John, you wrote the article for the last newsletter, just an overview of the parish council.
Remember?
Do you remember doing it? He doesn't remember doing that, is it?
I think you did actually. I think I do remember.
You remember that? It's very informative.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll have to
Do it again.
Dig it out. We'll dig it out.
resubmit the same one.
I mean, if anybody would like to write an update article on what the parish council are doing, then feel free. I shall ask Mark Calvert, leader of the parish plan group, just to write a little article about how the parish plan is progressing. But I think the deadline.
There's a deadline to let him know you want to do it, isn't there?
There's a deadline to do it,
There's a
isn't there?
deadline to do it.
Yeah, I forgot when the deadline is.
It's sometime in March. I remember
Okay.
seeing the email.
Yeah. So if anybody would like to write something, please.
I will write something.
You will, John?
I
Right,
will.
I'll forward you Adrian's email then.
I've got one.
Oh, you've got one. He's well ahead of the game, isn't he? He's just mail shot everybody, isn't he? Okay, right.
I got one as well.
Oh, right, there we go. Rishi Sunak, constituent office, has been in contact, recognising the good work of this parish council. I would like to come and visit. And there's, well, we didn't quite read like that, but
Is it coming to a meeting or just coming for a visit?
his office have asked for any suggestions that we could invite Rishi Sunak to. So if you want to give some thought to that, I thought maybe the annual parish meeting where we have lots of community groups, and we could invite them to that maybe, see what we're up to.
Yeah.
But again, any other thoughts, please let me know.
Shall we put that on the next agenda so that we can agree a day? So that we can get a date in the diary for it.
Is that
For him to come.
Well, for the parish meeting anyway.
For the parish.
And
Oh right, yes, well we can do that.
Next agenda.
Yeah, that's not till May, is it? But
I
it'd
know,
be
but
nice to get
It'd
a
all be
date.
nice.
But-
Invite Kevin as well.
Nigel?
I'm Nigel.
Is it Nigel?
I'm Donald.
Yeah.
Duck.
Nigel was a pint, wasn't it? Nigel was a pint. You called it a
Before this descends into some comedic comedy club, can I just refocus the minds onto the agenda? We've had some correspondence via Councillor Balderson from Manthorpe Play Park. They are looking at funding opportunities to support the costs of cutting the grass throughout the next year. They've been invited to make contact with the parish council for liaison with Jenny to see if there are any grant funding opportunities within the community, and also to ask the parish council if we would discuss and decide whether to not to make a financial contribution. I think the latter might be a little bit difficult given the outstanding employment tribunal process that we're having to consider, but if there's any grant funding opportunities.
Has the council ever funded them before, or is this?
So the previous parish council did, in a roundabout higgledy-piggledy sort of way. I don't know if you remember, they allocated some grass cuts away from the village to the park.
Okay.
Have I got that right?
They did.
So we did fund them indirectly.
The
In a-
parish
indirect.
council have funded the
Yeah.
play park in the past.
I've seen something, Jenny, and I'll dig it out in the file, about parish councils are able to access some kind of national funding for community things. So that, and I've got it somewhere in my system, so if I dig it out and send it to you, I don't know if it's gone past its sell-by date, but it was about the parish council has to apply for it for a group, the group can apply.
Okay.
Because I remember looking at it and thinking, oh, that could be interesting, so I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, June. Okay, right. That's correspondence. 202 is to receive matters raised by any members for inclusion on future agendas and note any outstanding matters for future agendas.
Can you put the fundraising group on, please? Claire will speak to that as chair of the fundraising group.
The Bullfield
Yeah.
tender.
Bullfields tender?
Yeah.
Is it that time of year already?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, Bullfields tender. Update from the fundraising group?
Yeah. But it'll be a decision from the fundraising group, because the money needs to be spent, doesn't it? So
Any other suggestions? No? Okay, right, thank you. 203 to confirm dates. The next one will be 4th of March. There we are. And unless there's any other comments, contributions, it just remains for me to say thank you very much for attending, everybody, and declare the meeting closed.